Hi everyone, it's Debbie Mirza, the author of The Covert Passive Aggressive Narcissist. Today I want to talk about grief that isn't talked about often, really, with healing and recovery, but it's a huge part of recovery and it's a very honest way of being. First, I wanted to double check on the sound. I'm trying out different hearing devices, and so I think this one is good, but would love to hear. I've been hearing mixed reviews on my other one, and I have this turned up as high as possible, so hopefully you can hear me well. It seems to maybe affect what device is being used to, so anyway, hopefully all devices can hear me. Anyway, yes, let's talk about grief. A big emotion, well, so many emotions come up when you are starting to unravel this puzzle, this confusing relationship that you've been in. A lot of confusion, a lot of anger. And anger is a place where we can stay for a while because there's something kind of cathartic about it, and we need to feel angry and we need to let that out and allow ourselves to feel it. But one thing that I think, are often afraid to feel is the grief. And really, there's deep grief involved in recovering from these relationships and becoming whole again, because the reality is you were in a relationship with someone who in fact did not love you in the way that you thought that they did, which is an incredibly difficult concept to get your mind around, especially with coverts. These tend to be very long relationships because they are so covert and confusing. So when you really look back on these relationships, the eye-opening thing is when you realize you were actually the source of the love and the life in the relationship, and they mirrored to you your emotions and your excitement and your love, so it felt like you had the same thing coming back at you. And you come to realize when your eyes start opening that actually wasn't true. And there's deep grief there when you realize someone who you have trusted with your heart, someone that you have honestly loved with all your heart, did not love you back, and really never did, because they don't have that capacity to. When you don't have empathy, there's no way you can feel real love for someone else. So there's a lot of grief here, in really grieving, in some ways, a death of someone you thought you were with. And that's big and that's deep. Our bodies were not we're not built for this kind of treatment and behavior. We are made for love, we are made for calm, we are made for peace. And this kind of treatment of us is literally trauma in our body that happens. And I wanted to encourage you today to just allow yourself to really be honest about that what you've gone through is not a little thing. It's not for the faint of heart at all. This is a huge thing that you've experienced. So I think it's important for us to really be honest with ourselves and allow ourselves, when that grief bubbles up, to just allow those feelings to come forth and allow the tears to come. I think oftentimes I hear people are afraid of grief and sadness because they're afraid they'll never come out of it. And I think the opposite is true. I think if we don't feel it, if we don't acknowledge it and let ourselves feel it, it stays dormant, in our body, and there's just this underlying depressive, sad feeling that we have. And I think the most powerful thing, the most loving thing for us to do is to really take care of ourselves there by allowing ourselves to feel it. I'm known mainly for my book, The Covert past progressive narcissist. But before this book, I wrote a different one called The Safest Place Possible, because I realized, having experienced lots of these relationships in my life, what happens is these relationships are not safe. They're not emotionally safe. So you learn this behavior, if you grew up with it or if you've had it a lot in your life, you don't know how to be a safe place yourself. And I really realized I need to learn how to become incredibly safe, so that when I'm hurting, I'm the first person I think, I need Debbie right now. And how. So anyway, I wrote the book The Safest Place Possible, just my own journey there, how I really radically changed the way I treat myself and what that looks like. So I hope that's helpful, and it's a very sweet and tender book. My friend who read it said she just felt like she was being held the whole time she was reading it. So it's a great companion with my other book, that's very straightforward about the traits and what these type of people look like. So I don't often talk about that, but I wanted to mention that. But yeah, just wanted to, the more we change the way we behave with ourselves, the more we become that safe place, telling ourselves, it's okay, whatever you feel is okay. Because the thing is, when you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, you never feel, or sometimes they, because of the intermittent reinforcement, but overall you don't get the message that all your feelings are okay, right? I was told by one covert narcissist in my life that my tears were a way I manipulated this person, which could not be further from the truth. And it makes you wonder, like, am I using that? But that's not me. And I'm sure it's not you. And I'm sure you have been demeaned and devalued around your feelings and how you feel. And I want to remind you that every single feeling you feel is important. And I want to encourage you to give that to yourself, to honor yourself with whatever emotion comes up, to allow yourself to feel it, to let yourself know it's completely understandable why you feel this way, and learn to become that best friend, that nurturing soul that you need right now. So, also it looks like I got in a fight, but I really didn't. It's an acupuncture needle. It's like I have a shiner, in case you're worried. I'm okay. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that today, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope whatever you're feeling today, that you know it's okay, and it needs to be held and loved and listened to, and I hope you do that for yourself. Sending you lots and lots of love.